Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Freedom Path. I'm Aaron Clark, and it's my honor to share the first of many videos on the topic of sexual purity. We will dive deeply into this topic using the Bible as our guide and my recovery journey as our case study. The Freedom Path is a piece of my heart, and it would not exist without the love, support, and prayers of many friends and family. This introductory video will give you a general glimpse of my journey into the world of pornography, how I was rescued from its clutches, and how that has led to the formation of a life-changing ministry that has impacted many. Here is my story. Growing up in Newark, New Jersey, life was filled with simple joys. Like most boys, I loved the wind on my face as I raced down the street on my bike. I also enjoyed watching cartoons, playing video games, and hanging out with friends. Truth be told, I still do. But one of my favorite escapes was reading. Anything from science books, novels, encyclopedias, history books, and many others. Those early experiences sparked a passion for stories and a fascination with the power of words. It would also plant the seeds for more sinister forces. While my childhood was filled with joy and excitement, an unknown darkness slowly crept into my heart, a darkness that would shape much of my life. It started innocently enough, with what I thought was harmless curiosity. Like many kids my age, I was drawn to adult content, enticed by the allure of the forbidden fruit. Looking back, I can see how those early exposures planted seeds of temptation in my young mind. Bullying left me feeling wounded and insecure. Family dysfunction created chaos and instability. The pressure to succeed weighed heavily on my young shoulders. These experiences left me with deep-seated feelings of inadequacy and a longing for acceptance. Unfortunately, I didn't have the emotional vocabulary to understand or process these complex emotions. I didn't know how to ask for help, and I certainly didn't know how to cope in healthy ways. And that's when pornography entered the picture, offering a dangerous illusion of escape and fulfillment. At first, my encounters with pornography were sporadic. Glimpses caught on magazine racks or late-night cable channels. This was in the 80s, before the rise of the internet. I remember feeling a mix of excitement and shame, drawn to the images, yet repulsed by their power over me. As I entered my teenage years, the whispers grew louder. Puberty brought with it a surge of hormones and a confusing mix of emotions. Pornography offered a distorted lens through which to view these changes, twisting my understanding of sexuality and intimacy. The more I indulged, the more I craved. I felt trapped, caught in a cycle of shame and secrecy. College was supposed to be a time of freedom and exploration, a chance to start fresh and reinvent myself. But for me, it became a breeding ground for my addiction. The internet, once a novelty, was now an omnipresent force, and with it came easy access to a vast and disturbing world of pornography. I remember the first time I saw pornography on a computer screen. I was in the college computer lab, surrounded by other students, yet I felt completely alone. The images were shocking in their clarity and accessibility. What started as curiosity quickly spiraled into obsession. The anonymity of the internet made it easy to hide, to pretend I wasn't struggling. I justified my behavior by telling myself it was harmless, that everyone was doing it. But deep down, I knew the truth. After all, I was a Christian since the age of 16. I knew better. And yet I couldn't stop. The next 15 years of my life were a blur of secrecy and shame. Pornography had gone from a secret indulgence to an all-consuming obsession. The more I tried to resist, the tighter its grip became. I was living a double life, pretending to be someone I wasn't. I went to church, served in various capacities, and even led Bible studies, all the while hiding this dark secret. I would visit adult video stores, go to adult movie theaters, purchase porn on my cable services, browse through magazines, spend money on video booths, anything that would feed my insatiable hunger for more porn. Many times right after worshiping God with my church. The double life was very clear to me, but I didn't care, and no one fully understood the depths of my depravity. Not because I didn't have friends who couldn't help me, or at least be there for me. Rather, it was because I kept them out, not wanting anyone to know my secret, even my closest friends. Each attempt at changing my ways ended in defeat, leaving me feeling more hopeless and alone than ever before. The weight of my secret became unbearable. I was exhausted from the constant effort of hiding, of pretending to be someone I wasn't. My relationships suffered, my work performance declined, and my health deteriorated. I was a shell of the man I used to be, trapped in a prison of my own making. I felt like I couldn't talk to anyone, not even my future wife. I convinced myself that I could handle it on my own, but the truth was I was drowning. Just when I thought all hope was lost, a glimmer of light pierced through the darkness. It came in the form of my then fiancée, Teresa. She saw through my carefully constructed facade, sensing the turmoil that raged within me. With unwavering love and remarkable courage, she confronted me about my struggles. I took the opportunity to come completely clean. I wanted to tell her anyway, just not that soon. It was the first time I was that open, even more than with the brothers. Teresa's love and acceptance created a safe space for me to finally be honest. It was very difficult and painful for her to hear, which put us on an intense road of recovery before we even got married. But by acknowledging the truth, realizing that I had a serious porn addiction, I took the first serious step towards breaking free from its grip. Teresa's unwavering support was a lifeline, but I knew I needed more than just her love to overcome this addiction. I needed help, guidance, and accountability. Through God's perfect timing and incredible provisions, I was introduced to a group of men who had been down a similar path. They had struggled with pornography addiction, experienced the depths of its destructive power, and emerged victorious on the other side. These men weren't therapists or counselors. They were ordinary guys who had found freedom from addiction through the power of God and the support of a community. They shared their stories with raw honesty and vulnerability, offering me hope that I too could break free. For the first time, I saw a path forward, a way out of the darkness that had enveloped me for so long. I realized that recovery wasn't about willpower or self-discipline. It was about surrendering to a higher power, creating a lifestyle filled with new consistent practices that would cut me off from the grip of pornography. Inspired by their example, I decided to fully embrace this new journey, a journey of recovery, healing, and transformation. I dove headfirst into the work they recommended, attending meetings, doing the daily work of sobriety, and surrounding myself with men who understood my struggles. The road to recovery wasn't easy. There were days when the cravings were intense, when the temptation to give in felt overwhelming. But through it all, I clung to the hope that had been ignited within me. I learned to rely on God's strength, to seek His guidance, and to trust in His unwavering love. I discovered that He wasn't a distant deity, but a loving Father, ready to meet me in my brokenness. As I began to experience the transformative power of recovery in my own life, I felt a growing sense of purpose and a deep desire to share this gift with others. I knew countless men were trapped in the same cycle of addiction and shame that had held me captive for so long. It started small, with conversations with close friends and family members who were struggling. I shared my story, not with pride or self-righteousness, but with humility and vulnerability. To my surprise, my willingness to be open about my struggles created a space for others to do the same. I started a small recovery group in my home, a safe haven where men could share their struggles, find encouragement, and hold each other accountable. The group grew organically, drawing men from all walks of life, young and old, single and married, professionals, even ministers and other church leaders. Despite our demographic differences, we were united by a common bond, the desire to break free from the chains of addiction and have lives of purpose and integrity. Every Sunday, we gathered in my living room, sharing our stories, our victories, and our setbacks. It was a sacred space, free from judgment and shame, where we could be completely honest about our struggles and support each other on the journey towards freedom. Through these shared experiences, I began to see the universality of addiction and the power of connection in overcoming it. We learned from each other's mistakes, celebrated each other's triumphs, and reminded each other that we weren't alone in the fight. Week after week, I witnessed God working through this group, transforming lives and restoring hope. For 5 years, I poured my heart and soul into leading this group, finding immense fulfillment in walking alongside these men as they fought for their freedom. But as time went on, I began to feel the weight of the responsibility. Leading a recovery group, while incredibly rewarding, can also be emotionally taxing. I was pouring myself out week after week, and I was starting to feel burnt out. Once again, my wise and insightful wife, Teresa, offered a fresh perspective. She gently suggested that perhaps it was time to raise up new leaders, to empower other men to step into this role and continue the work that had begun. At first, I was hesitant, but Teresa reminded me that this wasn't about me. It was about God's work, and He was more than capable of raising up new leaders to carry the torch. Passing the torch to other men is one of the most fulfilling decisions I've ever made. It not only allowed me to step back and focus on my own well-being, but it also created space for fresh energy and new perspectives to flow into the ministry. As I stepped away from leading the group, I felt a new calling stirring within me. a call to explore a different avenue of ministry, one that had always whispered in the back of my mind: writing. I'd always enjoyed the power of words, the way they could inspire, challenge, and transform. But the thought of writing a book, of sharing my story and my insights with a wider audience, felt both exhilarating and terrifying. The idea for the Freedom Path had been brewing for some time. I wanted to create a resource that went beyond simply telling my story. I envisioned a book that combined my experiences with biblical insights and practical tools, a resource that was accessible, relatable, and filled with hope. And so I began to write. Words poured onto the page, each one a testament to God's faithfulness. I shared my story with raw honesty, knowing my vulnerability could be a source of strength. I delved into the root causes of addiction and provided practical strategies for breaking free. And I wove in biblical truths, reminding readers of God's power to heal and transform. Holding the finished book fills me with awe and gratitude. It's a reminder of God's faithfulness in my life and in the lives of men finding freedom from pornography addiction. My hope is that the Freedom Path will serve as a source of hope and encouragement for men who are struggling. But this is just the beginning. This book is a stepping stone on a much larger path. I believe God has called me to use my experiences to bring hope and healing. I'm excited to explore new opportunities to share my story and raise awareness. I want to develop workshops, webinars, one-on-one coaching based on the book's principles, and, in the course of time, write more books. Ultimately, I look to leverage all of this into a business. My prayer is that the Freedom Path will spark conversations and lead more men to freedom. My journey has been marked by both darkness and light, by the pain of addiction and the joy of recovery. It's been a journey of discovering my own strength, of experiencing the depths of God's love, and of learning the power of community. If you're struggling with pornography addiction, please know that you're not alone. This is a battle that can be won, but it takes courage, honesty, and a willingness to seek help. Reach out to a trusted friend, family member, pastor, or counselor. Join a support group. Or you can reach out to me. Just email me at freedom@coachaaronclark.com. Let's set up a time to talk and figure out a plan. And who knows, maybe it will be the first step to a completely different future. Learn how to embrace the truth that you are worthy of love, forgiveness, and freedom. Learn that God sees you, He loves you, and He longs to set you free from the chains of addiction. Take that first step today. Your journey towards hope and healing begins now. May God bless you in your journey to true freedom.